The United States military is at the center of a new developing scandal involving an attack on an American aircraft. Feeling safer yet? Does this bode well for a potential strike on Iran? All the details next, here on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show, beautiful Occupy Democrats viewers. Once again, before we dive in, please subscribe to the David Reddish Show channel now. We're pushing toward our goal of 500,000 subscribers and are totally cracking the champagne on air when we hit it, so help a Democrat out. Besides, you'll stay up to date on all breaking news out of Washington, especially the kind President Strokey McSyphilis doesn't want you to know. And no, I don't know that Donald Trump actually has syphilis, though that would explain a great deal. And the man certainly behaves like the disease itself, but that's another conversation for another time. On to our breaking story. Secretary of Defense Drinky Pete Hegseth, a man known for his associations with white nationalism, philandering, his boozing, and his very weird homoeroticism, is having a rough go of things. In addition to leaking classified information to the public, he's also committed war crimes. Let's get up to speed here, shall we?
Senate and House committees are expected to ask questions today that will paint a clearer picture for a timeline of that September 2nd U.S. airstrike of a boat in the Caribbean near Venezuela. The White House says suspected drug smugglers were on board. Now there is bipartisan backlash over a second strike that's believed to have killed apparent survivors of the first one.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the initial
No, I
strike.
support the decision to knock out the boats, and whoever is piloting those boats, most of them are gone, but whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country.
The Trump administration maintains the boats were suspected of smuggling drugs, although it has offered no proof.
Hegseth has to be held responsible for issuing the order that led to not only the killing of these two survivors of the shipwreck against international law and possibly a war crime.
There's more backlash for Hegseth as a new internal investigation finds that he may have put troops at risk when he shared information about war plans on a Signal group chat. Some Republican lawmakers see all of this as a continued attack on Trump's Secretary of Defense.
I think that this is just an ongoing effort. It started with the confirmation battle. He was their number one target.
If you're still not convinced that Hegseth is doing damage to our armed services, stay tuned. We are about to remove all doubt here. It also might be more appropriate to refer to Drinky Pete as Leaky Pete. After all, the man keeps leaking classified information, and, as we all know, a man that drinks like Hegseth frequently does have to pee. But never mind. As it turns out, Hegseth's personal woes and rants about cultural issues might be the least of our worries. Either way, he doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a firearm, especially a big one. Now, we are learning that late last night, someone got a bit trigger-happy over at the Department of Defense. Take a look at this. And this is a longish clip, so make sure to watch the whole thing.
This appears to be a stunning lack of coordination between agencies. The U.S. shooting down one of our own surveillance drones on U.S. soil, and it is not the first time a mistake has been made at the border.
Overnight in Texas, we've learned the Department of Defense mistakenly shot down a Customs and Border Protection drone they believed was a threat, prompting the FAA to restrict flights near El Paso. In a joint statement, the Pentagon, FAA, and Customs and Border Protection saying the military used a counter-unmanned aircraft system to mitigate a seemingly threatening unmanned aerial system operating within military airspace, adding the incident took place far away from populated areas, and there were no commercial aircraft in the vicinity.
For the Department of Defense to shoot down a Customs and Border Protection drone would demonstrate a shocking breakdown in air domain awareness.
It was just weeks ago, also near El Paso, that the Customs and Border Protection used the DoD's laser to shoot down what they thought was a threatening drone, but that turned out to be just a balloon. The FAA had called for an urgent temporary closure of the airspace over El Paso. This latest incident now prompting outrage from some top Democrats on the committees overseeing aviation and homeland security. In a joint statement, Representative Rick Larson, Benny Thompson, and Andre Carson saying our heads are exploding over the news. They claim the Trump administration has sidestepped a bill that would have trained drone operators and improved communication between government agencies, including the FAA and Homeland Security.
In geographic areas where military and civilian law enforcement aircraft are working together, there's always good communication and coordination. So it's unclear to me why at the southern border right now that type of coordination doesn't exist.
The Pentagon is trying to put the best face on this by touting success in securing the border and saying they will continue to work on increased cooperation in the future.
American forces shot down one of our own drones and set off mass panic. And need I remind you, this is not the first time that this has happened either. Just 2 weeks ago, the same laser technology set off a standoff between the Pentagon and the FAA, which resulted in the temporary shutdown of the El Paso airport, not to mention a panic in the area. Which begs a question. Why is the Department of Defense under Hegseth fine sharing classified information with his wife, brother, friends, and journalists, but not with, other government agencies? These are our tax dollars they're wasting, and I can't imagine that the drones or using the anti-drone laser technology is cheap. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather see that money spent on a national health insurance program. But never mind. This little blow-up, as it were, also comes as the U.S. military continues to move forces toward Iran in anticipation of an attack. Gee, what could go wrong there? And here's the bigger question. What does Pete Hegseth have to do to get fired? Leaks, chaos at airports, shooting down our own drones. Why do I have the feeling that if he was caught naked with another man, he'd be out the door, but none of this stupidity that actually damages and embarrasses the country makes any difference? So as I said at the opener, you feeling safe yet? Needless to say, we will keep you up to date on the fallout from this scandal, the continuing tribulations of leaky Pete Hegseth, and all other breaking news coming out of Washington. This is The David Reddish Show.